In Bordeaux, a system known as Laplace is the historic cornerstone of wine trade in the region. Over the last 400 years, it has proved to be one of the most effective methods for selling wine around the world. Place de Bordeaux is a three-tiered de facto system that manages the trade of wine. Dating back to the 17th century, this system helps reduce risk and manage supply and demand of wine from the region. The top tier consists of the Chateau or producers within Bordeaux. Historically, this tier was controlled by the church, aristocracy, or even royalty. Although the region is now home to over 7,000 producers, Laplace is primarily made up by the most prestigious chateaux. In fact, many of Bordeaux's best producers exclusively sell their wines through this system. The next tier consists of the courtiers or brokers. This group was established for negotiating prices between buyers and sellers, but also as an intermediary between the upper and lower classes of Bordeaux society. Class divides were commonplace in Bordeaux's history, and these brokers allowed the aristocratic chateau to sell their wines without ever having to deal with the other levels of society. Finally, there are the Maison De Gahs, which were traditionally the merchant class. These négociants buy from the courtiers and then trade between each other. They then sell the wines to distributors and retailers both locally and internationally. The system of Laplace is unique to Bordeaux and has successfully ensured that Chateau can sell all of their production year in, year out, regardless of vintage. In fact, the top producers may sell the majority of their production before the wine is even bottled. This is known as en primeur, or wine futures. This process results in chateaux, courtiers and négociants, and more recently international critics, importers and even retailers, gathering in the following spring of each harvest. Together they will taste barrel samples of the most recent vintage. The wines are then allocated to négociants and finally priced based on their demand and quality. En primeur gives buyers the opportunity to buy a wine in its youth as an investment, with the possibility that the value of these wines will increase over time. Although en primeur dominates sales of Bordeaux wines, it is not the only function of Laplace. Producers will only sell a portion of their wines through this method, allowing them to retain these wines for later sales, particularly for vintages that may increase in value over time. Négociants are also not allowed to simply cherry-pick which wines they want from certain producers. Instead, Chateau will have a set allocation for each négociant and will often bundle different wines or vintages to ensure they sell all of their production. In other words, if négociants want to get their hands on the best, they must be willing to also accept some lesser wines as well. In recent years, a number of top non-Bordelais producers from places such as Chile, Italy and California have turned to Laplace to further their international distribution and standing. Ultimately, this system of Place de Bordeaux is one of the most successful and efficient methods of marketing, selling, and distributing fine wine to a global audience.